Hi everyone. Yeah, let's begin with a little bit of chit chat. So let me just ping me if I'm audible properly. Tomik, if you can confirm. Yeah. Okay. Welcome on board, guys. This is Divakar, founder of Codiate, and my brief a little bit that I'm a startup guy. I'm completely working in the blockchain and metaverse industry, and we are trying to build a community-driven ecosystem to get upskilled and to build meaningful projects and to help you guys connect with more industry folks to gain real life exposure. This meeting will be available and recorded soon. So, please keep your eyes on the recording. And Coded and Trikon is bringing you this learning series on related to all the stuff of the Web3. So today's we are going to cover Web3 101, which will give you a brief of what Web3 is, what Web3 do, how you can start your journey in Web3, how Web3 is different from Web2, and all the aspect of how Web3 functions and how why really the Web3 is trendy topic these days. So you guys can talk about it. You can ask questions. You guys can learn more and more about the Web3 today. So welcome on board, and obviously we will continue this series. We are planning to bring up more learning series in this, like blockchain 101, DeFi 101, NFT 101. So you guys will be hearing from us related to these subtopics of Web3 in coming days, and this will obviously bring lots of learning and projects and internships and placement opportunities for you guys. So stay tuned with us at Trikon Unite and Codiate. So welcome again. Rohit, if you can confirm me if you are here, so that so today's host will be Rohit. So Rohit is a CPO, Chief Product Officer at Trikon Ecosystems. He is leading the team to build a robust product of Trikon to build a DeFi and Web3 gaming space. And Trikon is gonna be one of the leading Web3 gaming ecosystem in the country, and you guys will soon hear about Trikon's product, Trikon's initiatives, Trikon's learning ecosystem, Trikon's gaming ecosystem. So more of these things are lined up at Trikon. So stay tuned with us. Rohit will be joining us and take this journey forward. To he will be navigating you guys through the all Web3 related aspects.
All right. Thank you, Divakar. So, hi, everyone. Before we begin, would like to have everyone's acknowledgement that if everyone is right here, attentive with me and excited for the session. So, just give me yes in the chat, or even if you want, you can unmute yourself and quickly say yes if you guys are excited for today's session. Perfect. So talking about just like the moment I joined in, Divakar has given a little idea about what we are going to do today and what Trikon is, what we are building out right now. So before we begin the session today, and definitely I will be ensuring that by the end of the session, you know what is Web3, what is what future we all are going to enter into, and how we are going to interact with the Web3 industry. But before we begin today's session, does anyone has any idea about Web3? What, or if anyone knows that what we are trying to do today and what all we are going to discuss? Anyone would like to take a lead here? You can even say no. That's what the agenda is, right? That we know that no one knows about Web3 probably, which is why we are here. We are meeting today so that I can give you an idea. But still, just want to see that if anyone has any idea about it. Cool. So I guess we can quickly start because it seems that people do not have much idea. So let me just quickly start with what is Web3. Let me try to share my screen. Give me 1 second. Okay. Can anyone confirm if you are able to see my screen? All right, perfect. So I guess I have one answer. Let me just quickly see. So Web3 is basically a decentralized system. Yes, yes. So this is like a very precise answer that we currently have. But let me just quickly walk you through that what Web3 is. So Web3, in nutshell, if we say, so Web3 is basically nothing but an evolution of the internet that we are going to know. So the core vision of Web3 is to give you back the power and the control that users of the internet that we currently and that they do not have. So let me just quickly ask one small question. Whatever internet protocols that we are using or the functionalities that we are using, we all know, right, that we do not hold off the complete control on that. Despite being the internet banking that we are using, despite being the other resources that we are using over the internet right now, somewhere or the other, we already have someone who is owning those things. So for our banking, ICICI Bank, HDFC Bank, right? They are owning some of our assets, despite being that is being given it, like we have given it to them, right? And same way, if we talk about the other functionalities for all the people works that are happening, or we are processing our documents, credit card details, so they are being handled by some of the vendors like a Razorpay, that we currently have in the market, or Instamojo, right? So what Web3 does? So Web3 is basically nothing. I guess it's better because the view is not coming proper. So let me just quickly stop sharing and let me just give you an idea like this only. And I will go very slow. And if anyone has any questions in the midway, make sure that you stop me, post your questions here in the chat, and I will be more than happy to answer. Yeah, so I was telling you about the power of the Web3. So Web3 is basically something which we can imagine which is going to be the future on the basis of the principles. At the same time, it is going to be the features, right? So like I have just given an examples of the payment gateways, I have given an example of the banking systems. That's something which does not give us the 100% ownership and leveraging of the features that we currently have. And if we talk about how web3 is different, or from where we have been coming from and where we are moving on, so there have been three different phases of web. We started from Web 1, then we moved on to Web 2, and now we are moving on to Web 3. So what Web 1 was? Web 1 was completely read only, where we only could use only static websites. We didn't had any hyperlinks or any such thing. There was like single page of websites that we had. Then the majority of the users were the consumers, just like it was simple Wikipedia that we use today, right? It was the text, no graphics, nothing. Even there were like very simple images that we had. Then we got introduced to Web 2. So Web 2 is basically where we started interacting with each other. It's more of a Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, where we have got the rights to read and write at the same time. So when I say read and write, we were also able to upload the videos, right? We started engaging with people where influencers got advantage. People started having more earning sources for themselves. That's where the Web 2 took the leap and we started seeing the content creators coming in. So every new thing that we get in, or every new generation, every new version that we get in, comes up with something advantageous to everyone, right? That's where the Web3 comes in. So Web3 is basically a decentralized web. So when I say a decentralized web, it is not just read and write, but even you own that certain thing that you have. So you become an owner of something that you are creating by yourself. And that automatically gives you the enhanced trust and privacy. And this is all going to be because of the decentralized technologies that we're going to have. So if we talk about Web3, that gives you a personalized user experience depending upon the machine learning model. And when I say Web3, Web3 is not just limited to what we are talking about blockchains. Web3 is also like AI technologies, machine learning technologies. Combining all of these things, we are entering into Web3 right now. So before I move forward, any questions from anyone regarding Web3, Web1, Web2, Web3, or whatever that we have discussed until now? Any questions from anyone? No questions? Guys can even say no. Applications of Web3 versus Web2. I will get onto that. I already have discovered that how these applications work. Okay. Kushi says where we are the owner of our data. Again, I have discovered. Why we need only decentralized? Perfect. Good question. So let's come on to this. Why do we need decentralized, right? So when we talk about a decentralized platform, first of all, we also need to understand the basic principles and features. That what are the basic principles that we have in Web3 right now and how they are working on. Probably this is something which will help you in understanding that how this is going to change the world. So before I get on to that, just imagine that whatever that we are taking up right now or whatever that we are using, right? We guys become so comfortable with those things, or we kind of create that certain reliability on those things where we feel that we don't sorry, we don't need that change, right? That's not a change of a minute. But somehow, what are the basic principles that we are missing out in our Web2 right now? First of all, uh, it is like a completely centralized data, which means someone is owning our data, despite being we want to give them a permission or not, right? Government is owning every single data that we have, right? And just in order to support that government, there are different people or there are different vendors who are also owning that certain data, which is kind of is we need the decentralization. The second thing is that do we have the permission to give them the data? If you say yes, answer is no. Why? Because if you want to proceed with something, you need to give the permissions, and if you do not, you will never be able to move forward with some of the things, which is why you kind of bound to agree to sharing these data. And then trust and openness, these are the two different things. So which brings us to the basic principles that we have in Web3 right now. First is the decentralized method, which means there is no centralized entities have the control and power over the content generated by the users. For example, probably you must be following some influencers, right? So they whatever content that they're creating, that is being owned by Instagram. Whatever content that was being created in the past was by TikTok, right? But the moment TikTok got banned, all of their data was flushed. So which means the data was owned by one of a centralized platform, and decentralizes something which makes you the owner of your own content. So by removing these middlemen, Web3 is something which aims to make the internet more inclusive and efficient. This is one of the biggest benefit that we have for the decentralization. So this question was being asked by Vicky Marutia. I hope this answers your question. All right. Let me move to the next three parts. So next three features that we have in Web3. So the permissionless and trustless and openness. So when I say permissionless, Web3 is biasless, meaning it does not have any criteria to qualify people that who can or who cannot access a particular network. So anyone within that Web3 world can access the Web3 protocols from anywhere in the world, which means I want to see anyone's information, despite being that person is rich, despite being that person is poor, that data will be available through these Web3 technologies or through these Web3 protocols. Then we have the next thing, which is trustless. So you are not placing your trust on a third party person, which we are doing in nowadays, now era, right? That if I have to process any payment, I do have the credit card, I do have my own money, But if Razorpay is down or if InstaMojo is down, I will never be able to get my payment through, right? Or if I have my own money or bank does the default, I want to pull that money out, I will never be able to do it. So that's something that it saves us. And there is a distributed network of people which engages in a fair decision making. That's where it makes it trustless. And the last one is openness. So Web3 is basically something which is treated for two main reasons. One is the data is on the blockchain is visible to the public. Anyone can view the data that happened on chain. And then secondly, the question that was also being asked, the applications are open source, meaning we can build anything on top of it, extend with the extended functionality without needing it to make it from scratch. For example, there is one feature, like there is one chain which is Ethereum, and that's a very famous chain. There were other chains which were being built on top of it with the extended functionalities that was not being supported by Ethereum. So that's something which are the core features that we have in Web3 right now. Any questions? So Khushi, Shubham, I hope both of your questions are answered. And another question that I have is, so how do you get Web2 game user like Mobile Legend, PUBG to switch to Web3 and be trusted in Web3 ecosystem? All right, I will answer that. So centralized network is not transparent, but decentralized network is transparent. I mean to say data stored in blockchain is visible to everyone. Yes, correct. So let's say whatever transactions that are being processed, they are being visible on chain. So the data is clearly transparent and it has all the transparency, even the history that is being stored on chain. So no one can manipulate the data, no one can delete that data. That is one of the biggest advantage that we see. But in today's world or the today's ecosystem, you see there are a lot of forgeries that are happening where the data manipulations are happening. So that's where the blockchain is saving us from. And Aksa, answering your question, how we are transitioning Web2 games into Web3. So first is, yes, it gives the complete ownership of all the assets that are being purchased. So just like you have taken an example of PUBG, right? People sorry, I have a little sore throat today, so that's why. Yeah, so talking about in PUBG, you all have UCs, right? And I know that how crazy people were when it used to be PUBG. Later it got introduced as a battleground and it got relaunched. But when it was actually a PUBG before getting banned, people used to purchase a lot of UCs. They purchased their asset skins, they purchased their gaming assets, right? The moment game got banned, whatever money that they had invested in, it all went to zero. Nothing that they could get, nothing that benefited them, right? That's where Web3 gives you an edge and that gives you a benefit. So at that point of time, just because the government had the control, you could not do anything even on the money that you had invested in. But in case of Web3, you get an edge where you have an ownership of those UCs and the data is stored on chain. So that automatically becomes a tradable asset for you, where that will be unique in nature for whatever that you have bought. Now coming to your second question, how we are convincing people from moving from Web2 to Web3. So that's something that not just we, even the game developers knows that what is the need of the minute and how this is going to help them when they will move the games from Web2 to Web3. And the data is going to be on chain. People are going to have the complete ownership. There are few disadvantages that we have right now, which is why the developers are not completely transitioning from Web2 to Web3, which I will talk to you in few minutes. And I will tell you what are the reasons and how also Trikon is supporting, which is why just like few minutes back you heard, right, that Trikon is working on some unique consciousness. So I will tell you that what are those things that we are building out right now. But before I move forward to the next components, any questions from anyone? All right. So let's move ahead. So what is Web3 like? What it is made of? What are the different components, or what are the different things which comprises together and makes it an actual Web3. So you probably would have heard about cryptocurrencies. You probably would have heard about NFTs, right? But this is not just limited to it. There are different components that we have. For example, we have blockchains, we have cryptocurrencies, we have smart contracts, we have oracles, we have wallets, we have decentralized financing, a lot of things which are there in place right now. So let me just go through them one by one. And obviously, this is like a very quick walkthrough that I'm gonna have. But yes, if on specific topics you feel that you need a little more detail upon, so we will try to have and the additional session in future in order to answer all of these things that you probably would have. But starting with, so for first thing that Web3 is made of is the blockchain, which is like the backbone of Web3 right now. So when I say blockchain, so its purpose is to secure the application built on top of a decentralized manner. So all of the blockchain is not made equal. Every blockchain is like there are blocks which are connected through chains. In simple words, that is why it is known as blockchain. So blocks which are connected through chains, and every block is generated by a human effort. That's where it automatically start making it a blockchain, and with different series of chains make blockchains, right? And they differ on the basis of the mechanism. Like there is a speed, there is a privacy, and there are different examples that we currently have in the market are like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana. These are some of the chains that we already have in the market right now. There are a lot more, but these are like some of the top chains that we have. The second one that we have is the cryptocurrencies. So cryptocurrencies is something, just think about in Web3 right now, right? So you go to HDFC Bank, right? But there are two functions to it. One, HDFC Bank is something which is a facilitator, helps you in doing the transactions. But at the same time, it is also listed on the stock market. You can trade it because it has a use case. You will be able to see the balance sheet, how well it is doing. And if it is in profit, you will buy it. If it is in loss, you will sell it. So same way, cryptocurrencies is basically, it is for securing the blockchain networks with its native token. So when I say a native token, every blockchain will have its token, and that token will be valued or traded on the basis of the use cases that it's gonna have, or the usability that it's gonna have, or the way it's the solving the people's life. That's what the cryptocurrency is. So it helps you in establishing the Web3 payments, and they are slowly taking over the form of money for the various applications in the real world. For example, right now we make the transactions through BTC, we make the transactions through USDT. So there are some native tokens that we have, then there are some stable coins that we have in the market. That's where we do it. Before I move on to the next three types, any questions around these two things? As you all can even type no questions, else I will feel you all are feeling sleepy. Okay, so one thing, almost no game industry can last long in the world of cryptocurrency. Can the ideas in the project survive considering there is a lot more of competition in the gaming industry too? So I agree. Just give me like 5 to 7 minutes more and I will answer this question for you. So you will understand that where we are coming from. And talking about, just to give you a quick idea right now, nothing that can ensure sustainability for a longer run. But when you specifically talk about gamings with cryptocurrency, yes, there have been scenarios which have shown a really amazing outputs. And at the same time, there have been the scenarios where we have seen the major falls as well. So we will talk about it though. All right. So talking about the next thing, the three another Web3 components that we have is, one is the smart contract. So smart contract is basically an agreement that is happening between two parties. So in a simple word, so whenever a decentralized application, they are all built on a smart contract. So there is a program code embedded at the backend in the blockchain, and whenever there is a conditions that are met, so let's say I want to sell you something and you want to buy that certain thing, we both agree, and automatically the transaction status is yes, and there will be a smart contract that will be generated. Because whenever there will be two conditions that are met, there are transactions that are happening, they both get successful, two parties agreed for a certain task, the moment that happens, a smart contract is generated, and that's what it takes place, and it is all happening digitally, and that is happening through a code embedded for that certain chain that we have. Then talking about the next thing that we have is oracles. So oracles are basically the bridging which is connecting the off-chain onto the on-chain. So off-chain is the data this is stored in locals, but when we talk about the on-chain data, on-chain is basically which is publicly accessible, and that's all which is happening through oracles. And then the last thing that we have is the wallets. So wallets is nothing just like the Paytms and Google Pay that we are using. So same way, the crypto assets management systems that we currently have in place, which is, if you probably would have heard about MetaMask, you probably would have heard about ledgers. So these are the two some of an examples which helps you in doing the asset management and storing in a completely decentralized manner. So these are the five major components that we have. Any questions? All right. So let's move to the next part. So what is Web3? What Web3 represents in the current state right now, where we are, what we are doing. So yes, right now, not much of a people are aware. Even if I talk about this session, not everyone would have heard about Web3 industry, right? You may have heard about Bitcoin, you may have heard about NFTs, but you do not know what actual Web3 is, what it is doing. So Web3 is basically representing the different vectors that we have. So in Web2, we have seen financing, right? We all know finance. But in Web3, it's decentralized financing, which we also call it DeFi. So decentralized financing is basically the financial sector leading the charge in transforming the financial services, like the payments, loans that we have, compounding that we have, or which is based on the decentralized platforms, the decentralized protocols that we have. So for example, some of the active platforms which are supporting this is Uniswap, Compound, Aave. So these are some of the protocols which are already there and supporting the decentralized financing. Sorry. Yeah. So talking about the next thing that we have in the current state, the second thing that we have is the creator economy. So right now in creator economy, if you see in Web3, we avoid giving the commissions to the platform like YouTube, to Spotify, right? So whenever that is happening in creator economy, in Instagram and everything, they are being paid, right? They have to pay to the YouTube as well. They have to pay to Spotify. But that's the same thing that is not similar in Web3. So they are directly tapping into their audience. There is no middleman, like I said in the beginning. So this creator economy is getting the leveraging and even are earning through it. So for example, singers are launching their NFTs, the music NFTs, right? They are even earning royalties through that. So there is no middleman whom they have to pay the fees, and even the content that they are making becomes unique in the nature by itself. Then we have DAOs, which is decentralized autonomous organizations. So this is an organizational structure where you can raise your opinions, right? So this is an kind of an organization or an economy where you can raise your voice, you can influence the decision making before rolling out something. For example, there is BitDAO, we have Constitution DAO, we have Lex DAOs. Then there are blockchain gaming. This is something that we have been talking about, right? So blockchain is gaming which is distributed onto two-way street. So right now, if I talk about Web3, definitely there is a biggest challenge that we have seen is people are more focused on rewards. So when we used to play the games in Web2, we used to play it more for fun. We never used to care, just like PUBG, right? We never used to care that what we are going to get as an output. It's just that if we are winning, we are winning. That's the only thing that we need. And we will do anything what it takes. But in Web3, people are more focused on earning rewards, which is why the platform is also something which does not stay sustainable in its nature. And there is a concept which is also there in Web3, which is play to earn, right? So people are playing to earn the rewards, but somehow this is not something which is sustainable. So in order to treat this and have a better rewarding system and have the better blockchain gaming, Trikon comes in, where who are not just working creating an ecosystem, creating a Web3 ecosystem for having the community based gaming, a gaming platform for the gamers or the developers who can host their games onto the platform, but at the same time working on the unique consciousness, which is a proof of reward. So proof of reward, something which will make the platform more sustainable and will give the balanced rewards to the user who are playing the games onto our platform. So this will be like a global leadership dashboard, which will be doing like running onto the basis of the multiple algorithms that we're going to have in place, and those unique algorithms will automatically make more sustainable platform for the developers and will also convince the Web3 developers to get their games onboarded onto the Web3 platform. And I hope this thing answers most of the questions that I have been hearing since few minutes. Okay, Shubham says explain oracles. I will explain. Any questions around this blockchain gaming? All right. So before I get on to oracles again, the last thing that we have is NFTs. So you all have heard about it, right? Which is non-fungible tokens. So NFTs is basically fungible is something which is not unique in nature, can be given, just like our currency notes. Sorry. Yeah. So just like our currency notes, right? Though 100 rupees holds the value of 100 rupees, but that's not unique in nature. Uh, it has the replicas. Anyone probably would have the note of 100 rupees, but at the same time, just imagine that there is a 100 rupees note which is signed by one of the biggest celebrity or signed by one of the politician who has never signed a note. Let's say Narendra Modi, right? So that becomes unique in nature and is not there with anyone else and is also tradable. That's what become a non-fungible token, which is like which is unique in nature by itself. Any questions around it? All right. So first talking about our Oracle. So Oracle is basically the data which is stored in local is off chain, but sending all that data to on chain is something which supports and get that data publicly accessible. That is all being done through these Oracle protocols. Talking about so Aksa, yes, we do have the target to reach to the unicorn project, but let's see how soon and how it goes. That is something that I believe no one can project, but yes, we do have the targets around it. All right. So I guess now one exciting thing that would come into the places like people would say that India government is not in support of blockchain, cryptocurrencies, Web3. Or does anyone has any say that no, they think that government is in support, or everyone thinks that no, government is not in support? I want your opinions in the chat. Government is supporting. Okay, Nikhil. any say on this? Like what all you have seen recently? All right. So let me give you some amazing examples. Right now, I do have seen people coming in recent sessions where they said the government does not support blockchain. They feel that the regulations are not something which is in support, or government will never agree to the Web3 technologies. So let me tell you, cryptocurrency is not something which Web3 is limited to. Web3 is basically the blockchain technology that we have. And blockchain is something which makes the data completely transparent, as well as gives you the complete ownership with keeping the data secure without having any middleman. So, some of the cryptocurrencies regulations in India, if you want to see, you can even go to blockchain.gov.in. That's an official government website, and you will be able to see that there are the government have some projects that they even have worked upon, and they are yet to see the cryptocurrency in a positive light, but they have actively been endorsing onto the different underlinings or different projects that have been in support of the blockchain. For example, they have worked on the supply management system, they have worked on the digital identity, they have worked on the banking and financial services, land record management, on-chain FIR. These are some of the recent projects that government themselves have worked and developed onto the blockchain technology. And that's what also gives us the confidence that, because blockchain is not something which has recently been introduced. This has been coming since 90s. It's just that it has started getting that real limelight which it should have been in the past from recent times. So that's why right now we are not able to gauge that confidence, but there are some amazing use cases and confidences that we can see that people already have and been creating the hype around it. Any questions around it? Cool. So I guess one question that everyone should have, that why shift to Web3 is important. Why we should be shifting to Web3. So the one of the biggest reasons that I would say is the transparency. So the change in belief system towards Web3 happened is because of its fundamentally changed the relationship between the internet and the users. So Web3 proposes a world where platform unlocks the value for the users, and it creates transparency, ownership, and governance. So let me explain you how it's creating transparency first. So transparency is basically the users always have the trust companies in whatever that they say. But in Web3, it's possible to verify whatever that you hear. Right now, anyone would come up and say, and like I have said in the beginning of the session, it is very easy to manipulate the data that is there online. But in case of blockchain, it is not easy to manipulate the data because that is on chain. And on chain data can never be manipulated once stored. So this creates a standard company to make more transparent on things that directly impact the users. The second thing that we have is the ownership. So an ideal Web3 world would prevent data exploitation and enables users to monetize their share the data. So this can drastically affect the creative industry because of the individuals no longer have to pay the cut to the middleman, and that's where you get the complete ownership. And the last thing that we have is governance. But before I move on to the last part, any questions from anyone? Okay, I have one question. So, if you can make the gaming industry enter the government in India as a government employee, you will be very revolutionized and will be able to trigger other countries create government employees. I agree, Akshay. Yes, we definitely have targets around it. So let's see how it goes, because we are already in talks with the government regarding this. Telangana announced initiative to leverage blockchain to migrate the corruption. Yes, right. And even Andhra Pradesh government has created a project in Web3 which was similar to this. Perfect. So last thing, which brings us to the governance. So having a platform where we can voice out our opinion freely without being censored. So right now, if you want to say, we have that complete control of different people, right? Sometimes it's government, sometimes it's media, but in Web3, that's something which is completely being eliminated. So it is a powerful in modern time. So in Web3, users can participate in decision making by voting on the government proposals that we currently have, and these rapid internet user interaction changes have led the company to slowly embrace Web3 technologies. Although it's proven that the companies don't want to carry the opportunities risk of missing the chance to be an early mover in the game changing industry that we are going to enter into, which is Web3 that we just have talked about. So, before I move on to the career choices that you all have, what it all opens for you in Web3, I am more than happy to answer any questions that you have. Else, I will help you with all like why you should be choosing Web3 as your upcoming career options. Any questions? All right. So the career options, why you should be uh, choosing Web3, and why even nowadays people are choosing Web3 as their career industry, is one of the biggest reason is growing industry, right? So Web3 is still relatively a new industry, and it has a long way to go, which is why the opportunities that are being opened are also like very vast. And this is why there are various fields in financing, gaming, security, and whatnot. In every industry, you're going to have jobs in Web3 technologies. High paying scale. So, shortage of talent has surged of compensation across various roles because people do not have much idea about Web3, but Web3 industry needs people, which is why it becomes more competitive because the demand is high, supply is less, and automatically it makes it more versatile. And then the flexible working environment. So whatever Web3 companies that you would see, you will see majorly the companies are remote first approach, majorly most of them, and the team members can work from anywhere in the world. And this applies to both tech and non-tech roles. So this is one of the biggest thing that we have in Web3. Okay, one question: how Trikon helps in Web3 gaming industry? So, uh, Krupesh, I'm not sure if you were there, but when I said, so we are a community-based ecosystem for working around Web3 gaming. So we are just we are working as an aggregator and providing out the different solutions and providing out the sustainable platform to both developers and gamers in order to access these Web3 games. And there are different products that we are currently building out. So we are building out proof of reward, we are building out automated gaming guild, and we are building out Trikon Vault. So these are three of the major things which are we are building out in order to provide a seamless user experience and at the same time provide out the easy accessibility to the users. Any more questions? No questions from anyone? Okay. Uh, So, how did you like? Do you feel that you have the confidence in Web3 now, or you guys still feel that it's a little dicey and you probably would need a little more research, which I'm sure you would, but still, was this session helpful for you guys? I'm looking forward to your responses in the chat. Okay, is it a like, dislike, or super like? Perfect. So, which brings us to the end of the session. So, thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. It was really exciting to meet you all, and we will keep scheduling these similar sessions and looking forward to see you soon then.
Thank you so much, Rohit. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. We will definitely bring more learning sessions and opportunities for all of community members. Thank you so much, everyone. We'll share the recordings and the PPTs in the Trikon Unite group and coded community as well. And thank you for joining us. Stay tuned for more such opportunities. And a special thanks to Rohit and all the team. So thanks. Thanks a lot.